Welcome to FMTrain.tv. Today is an open Q&A day. Some of you have questions. If you have questions, I want you to feel free to ask. I am doing open Q&A today to continue the stuff from the other day. When we do these videos, they get chopped up into the question and then the answer that we do. So it goes into a kind of a collection we've been building on
Question from David Angel.
that.
A numeric field has an auto-enter calc when empty. When I create a new record, it automatically gets a 0 and the auto-enter doesn't evaluate.
A numeric field, so he set up a numeric field, cool, has an auto calc when empty.
So it triggers when it's empty. Okay.
Which when you create it new, it will always be empty, right? When it doesn't auto and the auto enter doesn't reevaluate. So
it gets a 0 instead of being null when a new record is created?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. But remember when you do a field definition with a number field, I'm just going to state this out loud. So doesn't matter. Here's a credit card number right here. Here's a number field. So you can have an auto enter calc. So if I would say, and I write very verbosely. Some of you try to be more economical. Is empty. So if it's empty, and we're talking about the same field, so it's this credit, whatever this is, credit number, credit card number. So reference itself. Then we put so if this is 0, right? And then else we put nothing, right? So you have that. So we say, okay. Now, the check, do not replace value if any exists, right? So this will always run the first time when you create the record by blank. It should, right? It should, do not replace. Okay, so if I go to okay, and okay, so where's the credit card field over here, credit card. So if I create a new record over here, see there's a 0 right there, okay? Now, if I put another value in here, remember it's text, it doesn't really matter at this point. It's not gonna reevaluate if it's, what was that line? It said, don't evaluate if it's, I want to quote it exactly. Do not reevaluate, do not replace any existing value. So it's only going to reevaluate if the record's edited and it's null. So if I click on that and I click out, see it put the 0 back in. See that?
Yes. Okay. So why would David be having this issue then?
I'm not sure what's happening with that, but I wanted him to see there's Scott like outdoing himself, right? So there it is, right? So yeah, self is a good one, except that self is implying, well, self is unnecessary, right? As long as it's not, if it doesn't reevaluate if it's empty, right? It's kind of redundant. I get what you're saying. That does it too, but once again, I am very verbose in this stuff because then I don't have to explain to people what self is. Exactly what happens to me because the 0 doesn't calculate.
We told it to put a 0 in there. So what happens if you have an auto-enter calculation?
See, if you get rid of it, it puts it back in. If you put 5 in or 6 in, it's not, two things it's not going to fire. It's not going to fire because it's not empty 1, so the calc fails, but also we have the checkbox there. So it's going to fail or not auto-populate for the two reasons. One is that, right? And the other is the calculation says is empty. So it's even if this reruns every 2 seconds, it's not going to do anything unless it's empty. Okay? So from this perspective, it's a little redundant, right? So I don't know if you're expecting to do something different, David. I'm not clear on, seems to me that's kind of the way it should be, but he doesn't put is empty, okay? So you just put a 0 in there, have it auto enter a 0. Okay, I see what he's saying. So I think this is what he's auto entering a 0. So if you auto enter a 0, and remember, it's a number field, so I don't have to put it in quotes. It's not a string. So we auto-enter a 0 field. Okay, so I'm going to create a new record. Go to calculate, new record. So there's 0. It input it because a record was created, so it fires auto-enter, and there's no pre-existing value. So then if I delete it and click out, it doesn't do anything, right? So I think that's what David is saying, because it's not reevaluating if there's a pre-existing value, but there's no value in there right now, right? Yeah.
He also says the auto enter calc uses other fields as a reference. So
yeah, to get it to trip, right?
yes.
So yeah, I would go with the is empty in there, which will, maybe I stumbled on the answer by accident, but does that help solve it if it's empty? If it's not empty, then it, because the rub is that it's not firing, right? So that's the whole point of this. If it's text, does it change it if it's text? If we change this to a text field?
Delete the 0 manually and go to the other field to rewrite. It will evaluate.
Okay, so if I delete the 0 manually and then I go to, the other field that you're referencing, like if I go
Yes.
over here and click on that, yeah. So it's the auto enter calcs fire if in their evaluation something that they're evaluating changes. And they won't fire if that checkbox is a pre-existing value. So yeah. So I don't know if it's same behavior with text, if it's a text field. So if I go here and I make it text, I'm just wondering. Wonder if that's, but it seems to me the behavior is consistent with what I would expect. Just doing a little bit of a calculation here, stand by. So go to calc here, create a new record. It's got a 0, delete out of it. Go here, do some stuff. Yeah, you have to have a reference. Like if you reference type. So if you went to like not as full or something, then it would reevaluate, right? So if you went to number here and you said, if you do a calc and you say if, right? And you say not or is full, not is empty, right? Not is empty, and you go back, then I'll use self. That helps some of you out with that. So then if we say if it's not as empty, not self. If you want not as empty, the credit card, what was it? Credit card type, is that what we're going to do? Type, yeah, there's type. So if it has a value in it and the number is, I'll just say is empty. So that should get a trigger. Is empty, and this number is empty. Then we're going to stick a 0 in there. Else it's just going to be a null. And the only way to represent null, I think for the most part, is a quote with a number. Okay, hit OK, go OK, go over here, new record, pow. There's no 0 in there. Oh, because it was, okay. Okay. So that only populates if there's a value in here, Margaret. See that?
So wait, it can't evaluate it until
it has to be. This is a Nick trick. What would Nick do to have it fire no matter what, right? It would always
there's
fire.
a let function trick that he has to do that, I think.
Yeah. So you have to find a way that, you're doing evaluation on type. Is type equal to type or some shit? I don't know. You have to come up with a way of it having it go, oh yeah. Just to trick it into action, right? So you could say if credit card type is equal to credit card type, I don't know. You have to something he has. Credit card that didn't work. Let me try that again. Credit card type local paste. If it equals that and that is the other thing. I mean, would that even work? I have no idea. This is banging your head against the wall for fun in the afternoon on Thursday. New record. There's a 0 in there. So then I put
So it did work. Yeah, okay.
So I put that in there. Then I type anything in here like doggy. Oh, it didn't fire at all, Margaret. So there's no firing. So it's a bogus calc. So you need Mark. What are people saying? Because I'm sure someone's had some.
I think could work if the evaluate is 0 or empty, and then check mark is taken off for is empty. So if you remove the do not replace check mark, I don't know.
Yeah, we could try that. So it always fires, right? Sometimes that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's try that again, just for fun. Because it's getting enough variables in here. I'm trying to keep the permutation in my head. So I start with new record, it puts a 0 in. Then I put in Rick. Well, let's leave it blank. Then I put this as a 5. I got rid of it. Mm. So it's forced every time it fires, it's going to jam a 0 or a blank in there no matter what, right? So maybe you don't want it to, could you just leave it blank like that? Because the quote like blows it out. It's a vacuum of space in there, right? So it's expecting something in there, right? So yeah, so you're back to that. Yeah. So interesting. David, I think the behavior is consistent with what you're getting. You're just gonna have to find a different way of doing it, just because of the way the dependencies are firing in there. I don't think I can game it out in an intelligent way on live TV with that. I've reached about the max of what I can do mentally without a someone holding my hand.
Without the actual file and the use case in front of you.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to arbitrarily create that. I mean, basically at this point, I think we've kind of this one's about as far as I can take without more data. But yeah, we can go in circles. Because I'm not sure. I don't remember because from his question, I'm not clear on what his actual original issue was. So that's fine. Yeah, once it gets value, it won't change. Exactly. Yeah. So you have to turn that off. It has to evaluate every time. Is what you're going for. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions we have? Because it's 2:00.
I think we're good, actually.
All right, everyone. I'm going to let you go. See you.
Bye.